We know Cleopatra as one of the most beautiful and powerful women of her time. Her relationship with Julius Caesar and Marc Antony have been talked about forever. There's a kind of mystery about her that still draws people to her story, but she wasn't as terrific as you might think. In today's video, we'll be sharing the untold story of one of the most evil queens in history, Cleopatra. What was her journey? How did she take the throne? What horrific things did she do to her people? We'll be talking about all of these and more. So for those who don't know, who was Cleopatra? Cleopatra is perhaps the most famous ruler of Egypt, and one of the most well-known queens in human history. She was the reigning monarch for more than 2 decades and the last ruler of Egypt before it became part of the Roman Empire. Her legacy has survived all the way into modern era through art, literature, and academia. Her love affair with Marc Antony has also stood the test of time. Cleopatra has become a pop culture icon, with her life being depicted in several Hollywood films. Her image has also been used as branding for commercial products, but is her life something worth celebrating? The beginning. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC to Ptolemy XII, an Egyptian pharaoh of Macedonian Greek descent. He was also the ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom, as a client ruler of the Roman Empire. When Ptolemy did not respond to Cyprus's annexation by the Romans, the masses revolted. He was exiled from Egypt, bringing Cleopatra to the throne alongside her elder sister. Cleopatra was educated under Greek philosophers. She was tutored by Philostratus, who taught her how to make formal speeches and read Greek medical books. Cleopatra also had access to the great library of Alexandria, which had the biggest collection of books at the time. Cleopatra was one of the few rulers who bothered to learn Egyptian, the language of the people. You'll be surprised to know she actually spoke several languages, including Ethiopian, Latin, Hebrew, Arabic, Syrian, and even Troglodyte. This gave her the ability to speak to people from surrounding regions without needing a translator. Over time, her communication skills would allow her to expand her empire. Cleopatra's journey to the throne is nothing short of amusing. When Cleopatra was born, Egypt was going through a rough period. Ptolemy, who was still the ruler, was barely able to hold on to the throne against the clutches of the expanding Roman Empire. His brother, the ruler of Cyprus, committed suicide. This was so he wasn't captured by the Romans. With Ptolemy being silent on the rise of Cyprus and the Egyptian economy declining, the masses revolted against their ruler. Ptolemy was exiled and left Egypt with an 11-year-old Cleopatra. They ended up finding shelter with the powerful Roman general Pompey the Great. Pompey was part of the First Triumvirate, a secret alliance between him, Julius Caesar, and Marcus Licinius Crassus. The three were working on a plan to get rid of the Roman Republic and start their own form of government. All three wanted to become an emperor in their own right, but since the Republic wouldn't allow it, they vowed to help each other get as much power as possible. Ptolemy got help from Pompey and the Roman governor of Syria to regain his throne from his daughter Berenice IV. The Syrian governor invaded Egypt and handed the throne to Ptolemy. During the invasion, a young Marc Antony made a name for himself. This was also where he fell in love with Cleopatra. Ptolemy got back on the throne in 55 BC and remained there until his death in 52 BC. This is where Cleopatra became ruler of Egypt. The real twist came when she sided with Caesar. Cleopatra did not have an easy accession to the throne. She was forced to share it with her husband, Ptolemy XIII, who, ready for this, was also her brother. Yes, back then, inbreeding was quite common, with brothers and sisters marrying to preserve the Ptolemaic bloodline. Ptolemy did not like that he had to share the throne, but Cleopatra was clearly better in the role and was making all the important decisions. At this stage, the triumvirate had dropped to 2 people because of the death of Crassus. Pompey and Caesar were fighting each other for control of the Roman Republic. Ptolemy helped Pompey, who made his way to Egypt thinking he had an ally. But little did Pompey know, something bad was coming. When Pompey arrived in Egypt, Ptolemy beheaded him and presented the head to Caesar thinking he'd be pleased. Actually, it was the exact opposite. Rather than rejoicing at the killing of his rival, Caesar was disgusted with the treachery. Things looked rather bleak for Ptolemy at this point, and Cleopatra played this to her advantage. She snuck into Caesar's quarters. Her beauty and intelligence enchanted Caesar so much that a love affair began between the 2 of them. From here, she was able to convince Caesar to support her against her brother. As a result, Caesar jailed Ptolemy. But life threw Cleopatra another curveball. Caesar suggested Cleopatra's older sister, Arsinoe, and Ptolemy XIV should rule. As you can imagine, Cleopatra didn't take this well. Ptolemy XIII escaped jail and joined with Arsinoe to lay siege to the palace at Alexandria, where Caesar and Cleopatra were present. During this time, Cleopatra conceived a child, little Caesar, before the pair defeated the attackers. Cleopatra and Caesar took a romantic cruise on the Nile to celebrate their victory, with the Queen taking over as sole ruler of Egypt. After that, Caesar left to build his Roman Empire, leaving Cleopatra a legitimate claim to the throne and the Egyptian and Roman gods behind her. When Caesar was killed during the Ides of March, Cleopatra tried to get their son to be the heir, but Caesar had already named his grandnephew Octavian as the heir, and the Romans did not take kindly to Cleopatra meddling in their politics. You would think this would be the fall of the mighty queen, but she still had a lot of fight left in her. She began a love affair with Marc Antony. Soon after the assassination of Caesar, Rome was in a civil war. By 42 BC, Marc Antony and Octavian were the top contenders. They chose to divide the territories, with Antony taking the east and Octavian taking the west. But this truce did not last long. Once again, Cleopatra found herself in the middle of the conflict. Antony wanted to expand his territories and needed money to fight the Parthian Empire in the east. At this point, Cleopatra was probably the richest woman in the world. She wanted Antony, and to fulfill this dream, she set her evil plan in motion. Cleopatra sailed to Tarsus on Antony's invitation. She knew this was the only opportunity to win over Antony, and of course she did not let it go to waste. It's said that Cleopatra arrived with a huge entourage, displaying unbelievable glamour. Antony was left mesmerized. They feasted together and spent a lot of time fooling around. Cleopatra made sure Antony helped her get rid of Arsinoe, as she still saw her as a threat despite being exiled to Turkey. Antony ordered Arsinoe killed. Meanwhile, Cleopatra gave birth to twins and found another way to get to the Roman Empire. But just like last time, fate had other plans. Despite being enchanted by Cleopatra's wealth and beauty, Antony married Octavian's sister Octavia. This was to strengthen the empire. This really made Cleopatra angry, especially after Antony had another 2 children with Octavia. But Antony could not resist Cleopatra for long. She helped fund many of his conquests. After the conquest of Armenia, Antony and Cleopatra addressed a large crowd. Cleopatra declared herself Queen of Kings, and her son, Caesarion, the King of Kings. she declared her other children kings of various regions like Syria and Armenia. Antony finally married Cleopatra while still being married to Octavia. He finally divorced Octavia in 32 BC, which caused a rift between Octavian and Antony. Octavian invaded Egypt, with the navies of these two rulers meeting in 31 BC. Octavian's men were better trained for battle, forcing Antony and Cleopatra to flee and leaving their armies without a leader. Instead of surrendering, Cleopatra reportedly killed herself, ending her hopes of a grand empire. The legendary queen died, leaving behind a trail of mystery and awe. Are you a history buff? Does ancient Egypt and Roman history interest you? Let's keep the conversation going with a couple more history-related videos, shall we? Watch 26 unusual facts about ancient Greeks you didn't know. You can also check out how the Great Pyramid was built. Go ahead, click one. Or better yet, watch both and learn more about human history. Did you know about Cleopatra before watching this video? Let us know in the comments below.